Hi guys, so I wanted to talk to you about the difference between microblading and microshading or powder brows. So microblading is performed with a handheld pen. So I'm essentially scraping the skin with this little microblade. They're tiny little blades and they're all set in a line and they create a U shape. And so we're scraping the skin and inserting pigment to mimic natural hair growth. So this is the ideal session for those who are looking for a natural look. Healed, what it's going to look like is like you have much more hair across your brow. So really natural. This does not look like makeup. If you are used to a heavy brow, this is not going to replace that. You can always add makeup on top of that. This is going to give you a natural outcome and very natural looking results. Again, they're supposed to look like hair. Now microshading or powder brow is performed with this. It's a permanent makeup tattoo machine. So these little needles, it's similar to a tattoo machine. So these little needles are placed in here and the outcome is like the powdery look. So it's going to look very similar to like when you're wearing eyebrow powder. Now there's a common misconception that this is going to replace makeup forever, and that's not the case. It can never look like it's makeup sitting on top of the skin. It'll look like makeup for the first few weeks, right? Because you haven't developed skin cells over that pigment yet. But once you develop skin cells, and this will always happen with permanent makeup, once you develop skin cells over that pigment, it's going to look faded. So if you're looking for like a very dramatic brow, that's impossible to achieve with permanent makeup. But this will look like soft powder, so we can really saturate the brow and make it look like you have a tremendous amount of powder throughout your entire brow. But permanent makeup will always look a little more faded than the before and afters that you see all over my feed. And so I wanted to make that very clear for those who are doing their research and scrolling through my before and afters. They're always going to look bold initially. Now microblading typically does really well, and when I say well, the pigment can implant in the skin a lot easier, which then yields the best, crispest, longest lasting healed results. Microblading does that on drier skin types. If you're normal to dry, microblading is ideal for you. If you're a little more on the oilier side, I always lean on my machine work, and that's powder brow or combination brow. Now I want to go into combination brow. If you do not know what you want, you're like, I want a natural look, but I always use eyebrow powder and I'm just not sure, we can always go in with a combination of the two, and that's my personal favorite. So that's a combination of microblading. So I'll first go in with microblading throughout the entire brow, and then I will add shading, and I typically concentrate it in the body of the brow, so the center, throughout the tails, of course throughout the entire brow, but truly making sure that the center and the tails are saturated so that it looks like you have more volume there. Now, if you're watching this video and you are thinking, I have no idea what the heck I want, just book a consultation with me and I'd be more than happy to show you a bunch of before and afters and really get to the bottom of what your eyebrow goals are. But whether it's microblading or microshading, results typically last 1 to 3 years. Now your everyday skincare routine plays a huge role in that. So let's say you're out in the sun all the time, you never use sunscreen, you do a bunch of peels, you use very harsh chemicals with acids, and you're letting that get all over your brows. They're gonna fade. And so I do have clients who come in every year. They have their annual touch-up, and so you could fall under that category. But of course, I'll equip you with all of the best tips and tricks on how to retain as much pigment as possible and make it last the longest. So if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message or email me. I'll list it all below. Thanks, guys.